Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Bimp on the Spot. I am your host, Taz. As always, reminding you to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. As you can see, we have all of our social media handles and our website right above our head. Make sure that you go to mybim.com to pre-register for our Harlem Nights event coming up in October. It's coming fast. So like I said, make sure that you go there and pre-register for that event. Thank you all for showing up here tonight. We have an excellent show for you all. But first, I want to remind you all that we have an excellent season up until this point. Season 6 has by far been probably one of the most action-packed seasons that we've had so far. For a show that does interviews, that's a pretty impressive statement, I would like to say. So starting out, like I say, you can go back and check out our interview with Lion and King. We did an excellent interview with the owner of Twisted Popcorn. Last week we had a great interview with Camille Green, the owner of Beloved Butter, and we also have an interview with Eric Dungy. And we still have another 2 great interviews coming up tonight and next week, so stay tuned for that. I would also like to let you guys know to make sure that you go and you check out our guest tonight's website and his social media handles as well. He has some excellent things going on there. But tonight, right, we have Rico Williams, the owner of Tribex brand. Once you guys see some of the stuff that this brother has going on, you are going to be completely impressed. I know I was. He has some excellent things going on, but I don't want to delay it anymore. So without any further ado, let's get it.
Every other week, man, I'm getting calls about, where'd you get this manufacturer? How'd you do this? I want to start my own brand. I want to start, my own company. So really just getting that feedback that I'm inspiring other people to get out and chase their dreams, because no one, to be honest, wants to work a 9 to 5 their whole lives. Everybody, kind of wants to be an entrepreneur and do their own thing and be their own boss. So, when people reach out to me saying, yo, Reek, you inspired me to, start my own thing. And that's really the most gratifying feeling outside of seeing people rock my merch. So. I'm Rico Williams, founder of the Tribex brand. Grew up in Fort Lauderdale, born and raised. Moved to Tampa about 10 years ago. Came to Tampa for football to play at USF, and I've been here ever since. And I've always been into fashion ever since I was young. I was sitting in my room one day and working my 9 to 5 as a financial advisor. I just felt like I needed to express my creativity. So I started with one hat in 2 different colorways. And from there, Tribex just kind of kept growing from there. I never really got into it I never thought that I would inspire anyone. I just kind of had my ideas of what I wanted to do with the brand and hopefully expand upon it by me running my own brand and empowering others to start their own labels or, start their own businesses outside of clothing. Maybe we can increase our ownership, and then ultimately I won't have that problem anymore in being able to source my stuff locally. But until then, we'll just keep working to get to a higher level of ownership. Don't stop, keep going. I got this mantra in my head and it can keep flowing. Pour shots, keep pouring.
Rico, my brother, how you doing?
I'm good, boss. Appreciate you for having me on tonight.
For sure. Thank you for coming. Thank you for accepting our invitation to come on, my brother. I know you're a busy man.
For sure, man. Anytime, man. I'm just one call away, one DM away. So that's all it takes, and I'll be there.
Hey, man. Bless. Now, I have a couple of questions because for many who looking at your shirt right now, it says Blessings, Tribex. If you go to his Instagram and look at a lot of the designs that he has, I'm sure many of you have the same question I'm about to ask right now. And that's number one, the name. Where does the name Tribex come from? And not only that, but when you look at the messages that you see across all of your clothing, is there a message that you're trying to send to the buyers in the products and in the creativity and different things that you put out through your fashion and your clothing?
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, the name Tribex, I kind of started with a couple of names, but I landed on Tribex. I was thinking of a tribe called X and different variations of that, but the IG handle was already taken. So I was like, I'll just shorten it up and go Tribex. But really, the brand and a lot of the pieces that I do are centered around a couple of topics that I'm pretty passionate about, race, religion, and socioeconomics. So um, the whole concept behind Tribex is no matter your race, your religion, how much money you made or how much money your parents made, or what, if you grew up in poverty or grew up wealthy, whatever the case may be, we're all a part of the same tribe. So that's the message, the overarching message of the brand. The X is kind of just symbolic of like whoever you may be, whether you're from overseas, we're a melting pot of folks here in America. So the X is really just kind of like that placeholder in math, if you will. X can kind of represent anything you want. So I wanted to leave the X, just to be kind of a little anonymous and ambiguous. So that's that. But yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, so that's the name. And, if you look through some of the pieces, every piece isn't going to be super like, uh, geared to those topics, but overall, that's the meaning behind the brand. And I try to put, little bits and pieces of some race, some religion, some money aspects into each piece that I drop.
Now, that's interesting because a lot that's something that's sort of that's a sort of a dying practice is one thing that we noticed. We know that it was made popular with Malcolm X, where the X was, like you said, symbolic. When you go to sign any particular document, you see an X and sign name here. You know what I'm saying? It's sort of
Right.
like you said, it's considered to be a placeholder. And for a long time, specifically our people, we looked at that as, hey, our names were taken from us, right? So
Right.
since our names were taken from us, we don't know what our original name is, right? We
That's
can't go
true.
back to Africa because Africa won't accept us. We can't
Right.
stay here because they don't like us here either. So the
Right.
X was sort of like a placeholder, and you sort of see that as a dying practice. And even when you look at some of your designs, like you said, some of it's so simple, but at the same time, when you look at it, you see the depth and the complexity of it. Where does that create? Where do those creative juices get flowing? Like, is it just something you just wake up and it's in your mind and something that you want to do, or like, what's that creative process like for you?
Yeah, so I mean, really, the creative process just starts with me just scrolling through IG half the time nowadays. Honestly, man, from a stylistic standpoint, the three, pillars that I kind of built the brand on, it's always something racial going on. It's always something, pertaining to religion going on, and money is. America is a capitalistic society, so I mean, I don't really have to dig too hard to find, like, I kind of like to think of myself as like as an artist or like a musician or a rapper or somebody. You live life on a daily basis, and you know the life kind of inspires the artist, so to speak. So I mean, I just try to use the world, my everyday life experiences, man. Just I have friends from different backgrounds, all over the place, different religions, Muslim, Jewish, whatever, Christian. So it's just me living my daily life and, conversations that I have with homies, you know what I'm saying? And I just try to take all that information and put it into a design that, isn't like overly messagey sometimes.
Mhm.
And like you said, keeping it simple so it looks good, because ultimately I'm still a clothing brand. So I
Yeah.
want it to look good. And then if you catch a message, you catch a message behind it. So that's really what I'm going for.
Definitely, definitely, and one of the things that you mentioned is that you went to USF and you were a former athlete. And one thing that I know about USF, very connected to USF because I'm actually near the Tampa area, so I'm very familiar with USF and the campus. And there's, like you said, a melting pot. Everybody from all over. You got foreign exchange students over here. You got people from all over the country of all races. How did that not only affect your outlook on life, but also affect the way that you decided to go, the direction that you decided to go with your clothing brand?
Yeah, I think for USF to be a PWI, it's pretty diverse. At least, I mean, I attended, from '09 to 13, so I'm probably aging myself a bit. But, yeah, man, even when I was out there, it wasn't just like super white, it was, and even the white kids, we got along. I'm a Sigma, so, my frat would have, get-togethers with the white sororities and fraternities and stuff like that, and all the multicultural ones. So, I mean, I've always been about, Black people first. I think we're probably the most underserved community in America, disrespected, but still that doesn't take away from my ability to love other cultures just as much as I love mine. So being at USF, seeing the diversity, going into the workforce and not seeing as much diversity in corporate America. I think that's ultimately the goal that I'm trying to, put out there and achieve, is just seeing what America really is, because America claims to be this diverse place, but you get into certain pockets of the country, and it looks very one-dimensional in a lot of cases. And even today, America's still pretty segregated. So just kind of going back to your original question, for USF to be a PWI, it has a good mix of everyone, and obviously a lot of Black people there as well, man, that I have, I was able to build good friendships with, and definitely inspired a lot of the work that I do now.
And that's huge, because it's one of the things where when you look at the Black community, particularly at PWIs, a lot of the times it's very pigeonholed. Like for example, you look at Florida State University, a lot of times you're not seeing very many black students go to FSU unless they're going there for some type of sport or something like that. You know what I'm saying? In USF, even though you have a lot of that situation there, it's extremely diverse, because right to the south, right down south of USF, you have St. Petersburg, which at one point was predominantly Black. And a lot of those athletes, when they graduate, they would go to USF if they want to go to a major university or something like that. So it's always been and on top of that, it was also one of the more progressive colleges as far as desegregation of Black athletes, time and time ago, back in the 60s during the civil rights era. So I figured that would play a relatively big role in your outlook, because that's such a unique outlook for someone of our color. A lot of times, I think a lot of people forget that just because we are a struggling, we're a struggling people in the U.S. as far as battling with equality and representation. When you look at those battles, a lot of times you forget about the other cultures, and you forget to appreciate the other cultures that we dwell around as well. You understand what I'm saying? Right. So I figure that's an excellent message to have, because it's not a message that we get a lot or very often. As far as appreciating other cultures for what they are, while still having a great love for your own people as well.
For sure. Yeah, I kind of put out the motto of embrace all cultures. That's my motto for the brand, but it's told from a Black perspective, because I'm Black. So, and I grew up in Fort Lauderdale. I'm a Black American here, man, dealing with the same struggles that, everyone else faces. But, like I said, I'm definitely pro-Black, but I'm definitely, pro-minorities as a whole, because, everybody has their own struggles in different ways, you know what I'm saying? So that's really just the story I'm trying to tell and trying to push out there.
For sure. Now, another question that I had is similar to what we're seeing sort of in the music industry, is there's an inflation of talent within that particular industry. So within clothing, you have everybody that's starting a clothing brand, everybody that has an idea, everybody that has an image that they would like to promote. Same thing as in music. It seems like you walk up to anybody and they're like, yo, check out my SoundCloud. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Like it seems like everybody got a demo that they're trying to get you to hear, right? So with that, you as an established brand, a lot of people that are establishing their clothing brands don't really know what it is that they're doing, right? They have a lot of talent, they have a lot of ideas, and they have a great designs, but they don't really have direction. What advice would you give to those people?
Honestly, man, I'd say just start. Like you mentioned, it's a crowded space. Everything's crowded. I like to use the analogy, hey, you go into your local grocery store, Walmart, Publix, what have you. You go down the bread aisle, you're going to see a lot of bread.
Yeah.
That doesn't stop company A, company B from making bread because, everybody wants bread. Everybody needs bread. And, last time I checked, no one's walking outside naked. We're
Yeah.
gonna need some clothes. So,
Yeah.
I mean, in American fashion, you want to look good. 9 times out of 10, people here in the States care about their appearance and things of that nature. So, no matter, I didn't start with all the stuff that I have now. I started with $60, man. I went online. Found a deal on some dad hats that were popular at the time. I kind of mentioned it in the video, but I bought like 20 hats for $60, $3 a hat. Got them embroidered for like $5 a piece. Probably all in all, $100 or so to get started, and sold those to the homie, and they liked them. Then it kind of spread word of mouth. So I say, don't be scared to start small. You don't have to, have everything in order. I didn't have everything in order. I didn't know that I would even get into clothing. So, don't be scared to fail. Just start somewhere, start small, with whatever money you have and whatever, ideas you may have, just get them out. Worst case scenario, you lose a couple of dollars and, you fail, but you keep failing until you succeed. That's my outlook on it. So, I always encourage people, no matter what the idea is, or if you feel like the space is too crowded or whatever the case may be, just do your thing. Because ultimately, it's your dream and your goals that you want to achieve, not everybody else's. So.
Exactly, and that's one of the things that a lot of people like you said. It's there's you go to the store, you see a bunch of different brands of the same particular product, right? And a lot of people think, well, my product is better than your product, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it's never really better than the other product, it's different from another product.
Right.
And knowing that the product is different from another product means that you have to be honest about what it is that your product is, so that you can be honest about the way that you market your product to a particular demographic, right?
Right.
So when you think about it that way, in an inflated market, that market becomes less inflated because now you're trying to reach a particular demographic. Since the world has become so much smaller, because of social media, because of websites, because of TV, the world has become so much smaller. So it's a lot easier to reach certain demographics that you wouldn't have been able to reach 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, right? So now, since the world has become so much smaller, it's easier for people with different ideas because everybody has different tastes. It's like, okay, I may like this, but maybe I like that. Maybe I like this colorway, or maybe I like that colorway. But the more that there is to offer, the easier it is to pinpoint what your demographic may be.
Agreed, man. Yeah, with Instagram, even though the algorithm is always hating on us, I mean, Facebook, now TikTok, it's just a matter of finding your audience, man, and telling your story. I always, people hit me up all the time about, how did I get started? What I think that they should do. It's just a matter of putting your product out there and telling your story. You got to have a story, especially in the clothing brand space. I see a lot of guys and girls just, get a heat press or a vinyl cutter and, throw their logo on a t-shirt or something like that. I mean, you can do it that way, but, if no one knows your brand, you can't just start off with your logo if it doesn't outright say what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's no such thing as brand recognition when nobody recognizes your brand.
Right. And I mean, my very first design, I didn't even have Tribex anywhere on the hat. It was just like in the video, it was just lavish, and the concept was behind that was just, hey, we're Americans, we may not start off wealthy or whatnot, but we want to achieve economic success, so we want to live lavish.
Mhm.
And I put that on the hat, just the word, and I tell a story that people wanted to know, but nobody knew what Tribex was. So I mean, I wasn't just going to put Tribex on a hat and be like, hey, this is my brand.
Yeah.
So I kind of introduced concepts. I think I did blessings. I had a dad hat that had blessings like this on it as well, and then I kind of worked my way up. So yeah, you definitely got to figure out your market, tell your story, and people will gravitate to you if they like what you do.
And it's always the same way, you know what I'm saying? It's the same way for really, and I think that's why so many musicians and athletes are starting to get into the realm of fashion, is because, like you said, it's a story sort of being told. It's the same thing where, like, you don't really get a nickname until you get into the NBA. You do a couple of things, and after you do a couple of things, now you get your nickname. Now that's your recognition. You know what I'm saying? But you have to sort of tell your story. You have to sort of put yourself out there. A 20-point game here, a 30-point game there, a 20-point game here, a double there. You know what I'm saying? So it's, and through that, by building up, by telling that story, people begin to recognize and understand who it is that you are now. And it's no different in music. It's like, okay, a lot of times you see like a introducing yourself type song, right? It's not like where you're immediately, boom, I'm dropping music that's completely like out of the box. You don't see people start dropping that crazy, like what Drake just did with his last album. Like, you don't see, you would have dropped that for his first album. You know what I'm saying? But since people already know who he is and what it is that he does, he has the freedom to be able to do that now.
Right.
And it's but you have to first sort of set that. Okay, let me tell you the story. Let me show you. Let me introduce you to what it is that I kind of do before I just start, completely hitting you with all the with all the crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly, man. So, like I said, people want to look good before anything. So I was like, man, I can tell, hey, this race, religion, economic story of these are things that have divided us over time, or I can make some cool looking stuff, throw a little bit of message in there, sprinkle it in, and then as the brand grows, then start coming heavier with maybe some more overt messaging in the clothing. So I just try to pepper it in, still making stuff that looks good and that's appealing to the eye. And then, once people start recognizing, Tribex as, one of the bigger brands, or, however they may look at it now, then, just kind of go off the wall. I don't think I'm going out too far off the wall right now, but I got some stuff in the bag that's, still waiting to be unleashed.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about that in a moment. See, and I love what you said there. A spoonful of sugar always helps the medicine go down. A lot of people don't want to hear. A lot of people like, he's talking about race, religion, and all this. I don't want to hear it. But like, if you give it to them with a little bit of sugar, make it look real nice, they ain't gonna see it. It's like you see blessings on the front of the shirt. You're like, ooh, that kind of look like that Fresh Prince vibe, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you don't realize there's messages and different things like that.
Right.
So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and get into a couple of things. There's some other questions that I wanted to ask you, but we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back to continue our interview with Rico Williams, the owner of Tribex. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Make sure you share it, like it, subscribe, do all those things. Make sure you go to his social medias and check those out as well. All right, let's get it.
Welcome to BEMP, Black Heritage Enterprise Marketplace Corporation, an e-commerce enterprise platform created for Black business owners and empowered buyers across the globe. We are the platform that empowered buyers frequent most, the enterprise that our employees love working for, the parent company of BEMCO, Black Entrepreneurs Marketplace, a Black-owned e-commerce Black business membership marketplace, and a marketing and advertising platform for Black business owners. We provide a variety of features such as a Black business directory for both state and national searches and targeted product and service searches. Black business owners, advertise and market your brand to the most important consumers on earth with BEMP. Black business owners, join BEMP today. BEMP Corporation.
We are back, everyone. All right, so Rico, question that I wanted to ask. Producer, we have a picture of them slides. These slides, what did this idea? Them things are fire, man. The design for I seen these, right, and I'm like, I'm not a slides person. I don't do that very often. Like I have like one pair, and they just like for just like trekking in the woods or something. Where you just want to slide something on, you know what I'm saying? You about
Yeah.
to go out the door, but these right here, those slides are impressive. Like the design on them is crazy. Where did you get first of all, where did you decide that you wanted to do slides and the idea for the design to go on them? Where did that come from, man?
Just sketching things out, man. I have a little notepad that I started Tribex with and I still kind of carry around, and just things that I want to do. So I just started expanding. I started with hats, like I mentioned, kind of got into bomber jackets. Then I went into basketball shorts, and then I went into sweatshirts and t-shirts. And I was just thinking of ways of how could I expand into different product lines. And I was like, you know what? I'm from South Florida, man. I mean, we wear flip-flops, we wear slides with
Yeah.
socks, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And basketball shorts in 20-degree weather if it ever gets that cold, you know.
Yeah.
So it was really just like the Florida boy in me. I was like, you know what, I want to do some slides, let's do it. And by that time, I think I dropped those probably a year or so ago. But I was just like, I feel confident in the actual logo of the brand to just put it on something. And so I
Mhm.
went with the signature logo, and people ate them up. So yeah, that's really all it came down to, man. Just wanting to tell. Some pieces I do, for Florida specifically. Other
Yeah.
pieces are for the culture as a whole. You never know what you may get, but that's where those came from.
Man, no, that buttercream's something different. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
telling you,
man.
bro. I saw those. I was like, nah, no way. He ain't them kind of clean right there, you know.
You, man. Yeah, I think somebody on IG picked that name. I went with Red Tails. Red Tails for the Air Force guys, the black airmen, for the red ones, and then the buttercreams. I was just like, I'll throw it up on IG and see what anybody wants to name them. And somebody commented as I posted, and they're like buttercreams. I was like, oh, well, that's it, dude. I'm sticking with it. And so that's a little contest winner that named those.
Yeah, man. Now that's a nice one right there. Now one of the things that's very unique about your brand is you can definitely see if I had never seen the owner of Tribex and I looked at specifically your product, one thing that I would know right off the bat that it's a former athlete or a person who loves sports that made this particular brand. And the way I know that is because very few people, except athletes, want to deal with a hockey jersey. Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know what it is. I think that the design for a hockey jersey is dope. I think it's amazing. But for some reason, a lot of designers don't touch it. I
yeah.
don't, I don't understand it. I never understood it. But what made you want to cross into that realm? Like you just see it as like, man, I could do something with that. The same way that because I mean, I'm pretty sure every athlete owns at least one hockey jersey.
Yeah, no, I mean, just being up in Tampa, bro, I didn't grow up a hockey fan, but just living in Tampa for the last decade or so, the Lightning they've
I
been winning
love
back to
Fort
backs, and we lost this year. But I was like, you know what? People in Tampa, at least when I was living up there, love hockey, and I love it more than I did before. But then also, I just needed a piece that was big enough to kind of tell a story. And I was like, it's hard to really put all these pieces that kind of work in unison on the hockey jersey. You can't just do that on a t-shirt, or it wouldn't look right on a
Yeah.
sweatshirt. So I was like, for me to throw a big X on the front, a ode to Malcolm X, throw the number 19 on the back, for Juneteenth, for me to put patches on the shoulders, minorities are major hockey club. Like I just couldn't do that with something outside of a jersey, or put minorities on the back big like that. So
Mhm.
it really was just like the perfect piece to kind of tell that whole story in totality. I couldn't get that off on like a t-shirt. So, that's kind of where it came from, man. Just being in Tampa, loving hockey more and more. And then obviously just a piece that was big enough that wouldn't look crazy. It would
Yeah.
look cool. And, I can sprinkle in some messaging in there. So that's
Man,
where
I
it came.
love that, man. I love it. The minorities are major. The FAMU, like I said, a lot of people don't know. My oldest sister, she went to FAMU first before she actually came back home and went to USF. So,
Uh,
so she was actually at FAMU. So we got some family ties over there, right? So I thought
that-
that was dope. I thought that was pretty dope.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I got a lot of homies and family members that went to FAM as well. So even though I didn't go there, still I'm
Showing
still
love.
showing love in a way that I can. So the hockey
Amen.
jersey is an ode to them and an ode to the first Black hockey player as well. That's another thing that led me down the hockey jersey um, space. Is a gentleman by the name of Willie O'Ree. He's the first Black player to play in the NHL. He played for the Boston Bruins, and their colors were black and yellow. And that's the first colorway that I started out with. It was a black and yellow piece. So it was an ode to him, and an ode to the culture. So
Hey man, and the love for the culture, man, and the attention to detail and paying homage to all of the great men and women that came before us. And that's one of the things that I wanted to touch on as well is the attention to detail and the consideration and the careful consideration with the way that you incorporate it into your designs is what I was talking about before we went live when I was saying that your work is special. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you got some guys who like you got dudes who can rap, right? A lot of people can rap. A lot of brothers,
right,
majority of the time, you can stick if you on the beat, if you can hold a tune, if you can if you can get a feet for the rhythm, you know what I'm saying, get a feel for the rhythm, you can rap, you know what I'm saying?
right.
But there's guys like Kendrick Lamar, Andre 3000s, you got guys like Jay Z, where there's something different, right,
Mhm.
with the way that they enunciate their words and where they put the words, and they're so intentional with the way that they pronounce the words and the order in which they put the words in, right, and that's
Right.
what makes it special. And it's exactly the same thing when we were talking about your work. When we look at the hockey jersey, you have the intention. You're intentional with the color. You're intentional with the name, the number that goes on the back, the X that goes on the front. Minorities are major on the shoulder. Everything is in decency and in order. Like you think all of this stuff through. That's what makes this brand so special. And just sort of giving you your flowers for how excellent that work is. Because, like I said, not a lot of people are doing it like that.
Hey man, I appreciate it, dude. I just try to, tell a story, for us, it's a story that I'm just trying to push, man, messaging about and embracing all cultures, man, with us being at the top, because we've been here and struggling and, tilling the land and all that stuff from the jump. So, I just want to make sure that I'm putting on for the culture, man, and then also just putting out a positive message as best as I can in a stylish way. So I appreciate that, and I receive those flowers.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I mean, I'm telling you, hey, like you said, what's at the top of the list? I mean, the America right now is ripe for the pickings, and
Right.
when no seed be planted if we hadn't come here in the first place, whether by choice or not. We were the ones who tilled the soil to make the ground fertile enough to plant a seed and for those trees to grow. You know what I'm
All
saying?
facts.
So
All facts.
major contribution. Um, now, gosh, it just slipped my mind. I had a question that crossed my brain. So, dang, I wanted to come back, but it just won't. Okay, I wish heaven on all my enemies. What
Yeah.
made you want to put that on the back of a shirt?
Just tying and playing off of that, the religion aspect, religion has always, been a divisive topic, right? I mean, you got the Crusades from back in the day, you got, Christianity being forced on a lot of different people, Native Americans, Black people here in America. It's just caused a lot of friction in general. So I felt that it fell under that religious umbrella, but really, and I haven't told many people this, but I was just listening. I'm a big rap and I'm a big music fan. I was listening to Quentin Miller, the ghostwriter for Drake,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he actually had that line in the song, "I wish heaven on all my enemies," and I was like, "Damn, that'll be dope if I put it on a shirt." And this was a couple of years ago, and I kind of stole that from him. I'm not going to take full credit for it, but it was in line with the messaging I was trying to push. And, we all have haters, man. And, no matter what space you're in, how you feel, somebody may not agree with how you do something. Everybody may not like Tribex, you get nitpickers out there, but no matter what, I wish enemies hate to see you succeed, man. So if you say I wish heaven on, I wish you the best, even though you don't like me or whatever I do, I still wish you the best, no harm, no foul. So it's really just kind of a slap in the face to whoever may be, hating on you or whatever you may feel the disrespect. So just kind of like that success is gonna make you even more envious of me or whatever, or whoever's wearing that piece. So that's really what it's all about. Kind of like a showboatish way, but
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Now I remember the question I was gonna ask. Dietrich Haddon is wearing your gear. How did that happen?
Crazy story, man. This is probably about 3 years in the making, really. I grew up a Dietrich Haddon fan, man. My granddad's a preacher, bro, and my uncle loves Dietrich's music. I was listening to him when I was, yay high. And then, fast forward to 2019, I get a couple calls from like LA. And I'm like, they call me, they're like, Rico, is this Rico, the owner of Tribex? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, yeah, we're filming a movie. Dietrich is looking for some wardrobe for the movie, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? This must be a joke, right? And long story short, man, they gave me an address. And so I just Google searched it and found it. And it was like in Inglewood where his church was. and so found out that they were his stylists. They gave me the address and they told me to put his name on the package. So I knew it wasn't like I was just sending it to some random person. And they told me they were filming a movie, and the movie actually just came out probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Obviously, they started pre-pandemic, and then I'm assuming production got slowed down. But yeah, sent those pieces. They started filming in like 2019, 2020, and the movie just dropped. So yeah, check that out. Dietrich Haddon's The Fallen. You'll see a couple pieces, or at least one piece in there from Tribex, but it's pretty bright and center for about 5 minutes. I timed it and I was pretty happy about it.
Hey man, you absolutely deserve it. That's excellent work. That's amazing that happened though, because I mean, oftentimes you don't see many things like that happen. That's amazing, man. That's awesome. That's an awesome opportunity to come up. It's like getting a call from LA. Usually, most time you think, okay, this is scam risk right here,
Right. I think that was before Scam Likely was popping up on all the iPhones. It's just the number came through, and I don't even usually answer calls that I don't have saved in my phone, and I just so happen to pick this one up. I actually do have a good friend who lives out in LA, but if it wasn't for him, I probably would have ignored the call. But hopefully they would have left me a message. But it all worked out, in perfect timing. So.
For sure. Such a blessing, man. I thank you for coming on to the show, man. I appreciate you accepting our invitation to come on. This is an excellent interview. Make sure that you all go to tribexbyrico.com, that you go to Tribex on Instagram. Make sure you go and check out his website. Everything is affordable. He has some great work. Make sure that you go and check out his go and contact him at his email for product availability or general questions. Also, make sure you drop some love in the comment section for the brother, man. This is doing amazing work, y'all. I appreciate you coming on, man. Any last words before we let you go?
Yeah, man. Just keep doing what you're doing, man. Like I said, I'm all about uplifting the Black community, man. We've been underserved for so long. Obviously, we kind of spearhead the movement for all other minorities here in America. So, I just want you to keep doing what you're doing, because it's certainly shedding the light on, folks like me, other Black-owned businesses as well. And, we just need to continue to work together, man, because when we put our heads together and put our minds together, there's nothing we can't do. So flowers back to you, bro. Proud of what you're doing, and keep up the great work.
For sure, man. Appreciate it. It's all love. Thank you, man. Thank you. Uh, all right, so everybody, thank you for tuning in tonight. Make sure that you share this episode, like this episode, whatever platform you may be watching from. Make sure you get it out there. Show some love to Tribex and Rico Williams. And we'll see you again next week. We have another good interview coming up next week. We've been doing some diverse things over the last couple of weeks. Next week is going to be different. So make sure you tune in next week at 7:30 for Bimp on the Spot's next interview. As the owner of Bimp Corporation is tapping in right here. Hello, everyone. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. There you see the owner of Black Heritage Enterprise Marketplace, LaShawn Rush, tapping in here. So make sure y'all like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. You share this episode, show some love and support for Tribex, and y'all have a good evening.